What is going on, my friends? It is so good to see you guys. My name is Ryan Williams, back with another video, and today we are going to be talking about some no-nos when it comes to investing in dividend stocks. That's right, guys. I want to run through with you a few things that I think are mistakes when it comes to dividend investing in the hopes that you'll agree with me and avoid doing them so you can quickly become better dividend investors. Hopefully better than myself, at least, who has made some of the mistakes we're going to be talking about today. And real quick, before we get rocking and rolling, if you guys could pat yourself on the back real quick, please do so. Dividend investing is a grind. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of consistency. And hats off to you guys for making the decision to embark on this journey to financial freedom through dividend stocks. And once you're done patting yourselves on the back, please go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up if you're excited to talk about dividend stocks today. I know I am. Anyway, thank you guys so much for doing that. And now, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys, so the first mistake that I think a lot of investors make, especially new investors, I most certainly was guilty of this one myself, is investing in a certain stock only for its dividend yield. Maybe the stock has like a 5 or 6 or 7% dividend yield, and you making the decision to purchase it just solely based off of that high yield. While it's certainly desirable to have stocks in your portfolio that have as high of a yield as possible, it probably will not be the best strategy to only invest in stocks just for their dividend yield, especially if you're someone who's going to be investing for the long term. And when it comes to dividend stocks, kind of the way you go about it is you try and buy into stocks that you're going to plan on holding for a long time, if not forever. And some of these stocks can include things like Coca-Cola or McDonald's or Procter & Gamble. And the mistake here is not taking into consideration some of the other variables that are needed to consider when choosing the stocks you're going to be investing in. And some of these other variables can include things like payout ratios, PE ratios, earnings per share, how is their revenue growing year over year, how is their profitability, how many years has the company been consistently growing and paying its dividends, what does its dividend history look like. But I've got to say, if you're at the place in your investing journey where you can now look at a stock's dividend, maybe it's 4% and 5%, and you can look at that and know that that's a pretty good yield, I think that's a step in the right direction for sure. And also, I think as you progress through your dividend investing journey, you'll naturally come across these other variables like I mentioned, the PE ratios, the payout ratios, and you'll inevitably get curious and want to do some research and learn a little more. And with time and with a little experience, you'll just keep learning more and more about this stuff. So I think the best piece of advice to completely avoid this mistake and only paying attention to a stock's dividend yield is to try and learn about all of the other facets of a company's stock as quick as you can. That way you can learn to be a better investor and kind of know what you're looking at and what you're looking for. All right, guys, now mistake number 2. This one I think is actually very overlooked by a lot of people, and that's dollar cost averaging. And the mistake here is not doing it. And some of you might be asking, well, what is dollar cost averaging? I've never even heard that term before. And I'll break it down for you real quick. So as defined by Investopedia.com, dollar cost averaging is an investment strategy in which an investor divides up the total amount to be invested across periodic purchases of a target asset in an effort to reduce the impact of volatility on the overall purchase. The purchases occur regardless of the asset's price and at regular intervals. In effect, this strategy removes much of the detailed work of attempting to time the market, this is important, in order to make purchases of equities at the best prices. So hopefully that kind of paints a picture of dollar cost averaging for you guys. Just to really simplify it for you, essentially dollar cost averaging is when you invest a set amount of dollars in a set time period. So in my case, for example, I invest $125 every single week into my dividend portfolio, and I use that to buy different stocks in my portfolio. Now, whether the market's trending upwards or whether the market's trending downwards, I am always investing that $125 every single week. It doesn't change. And really, if you want to expedite that snowball process, you have to dollar cost average. You have to be regularly contributing to your portfolio if you want to get to where you're going. And I would imagine that a lot of where you guys want to go is financial freedom. You want to stop working, you want to live off of your dividends, or maybe you want to have a nice nest egg for the future. But no matter what your goal is with your dividend portfolio, you need to regularly contribute to it. And also, this kind of ties into the last mistake we talked about. I think that by regularly checking on your portfolio and regularly spending time with it, that's how you get to become a better investor. You get those reps in every single week, every single month, however often you decide to invest, and you become more familiar with what you're doing, and then you learn more, and then you become a better investor. So anyway, guys, dollar cost average. I don't care if it's once a month. I don't care whether it's once a week. Whatever you can do, just make sure that you're spending some time with your portfolio or investing into it on a regular basis. That's the only way it's really going to take off and grow. All right, guys, mistake number 3 that I would imagine so many people are guilty of is not using some sort of portfolio visualizer or some sort of portfolio tracker. I cannot tell you guys how much of a difference having a spreadsheet or using something like Track Your Dividends has helped me. Just, it literally shows you what your portfolio looks like, and it makes it so much easier to make tweaks or make adjustments or have some sort of direction with where you want to go with your portfolio. It really, if your portfolio was like a sculpture, it would tell you where you need to take some off or add some clay to it. I don't know if you guys get the analogy, but having some sort of thing that you can look at that lays your portfolio out for you, create some sort of visualization so you can see it, that really helps you become much more familiar with your portfolio, seeing where the majority of your funds are allocated, who's paying you the most dividends, what does it look like on a pie chart, how is it diversified. And this is something I highly recommend for everyone, and there are a lot of good resources that you guys can use to have some sort of portfolio tracker or some sort of spreadsheet, whatever. The first of which is trackyourdividends.com. As you guys can see, it shows all of your holdings, shows how your portfolio is diversified, shows who's paying you how much in dividends, shows you the future value, where your portfolio is going to go over time. There's just a lot of great benefits to using a platform like this. Another one that I haven't myself personally used is simplysafedividends.com. From what I've seen in other YouTube videos or just online, it looks like a really great platform too. The only reason I'm not currently using it is because I don't want to pay for it, number one. But number two, I have my own spreadsheet that I'm kind of building from the ground up. And if you guys have seen some of my videos before, you've definitely seen my portfolio spreadsheet. And if you guys want to get that for free, check out the link in the description of this video. I'll put it right down there so you guys can get my dividend portfolio tracker for free. And just a little bit of a side note on that, guys, I'm constantly making tweaks, making updates to this portfolio tracker. I'm trying to make it a little more sophisticated over time. So if there's some features missing or some things that you'd like to see, leave me a comment below. I'd love the feedback. All right, guys, one of the last mistakes, and this one's kind of a borderline mistake. I'm not even sure if it's such a bad thing. But one thing that doesn't really sit well with me is seeing too many ETFs in a portfolio. First of all, I'm personally not the biggest fan of ETFs unless you're someone who is literally just getting started and wants to get the ball rolling, just wants to start investing. I actually think it's a good way to, get some skin in the game, but also be pretty diversified, because within those ETFs are a bunch of different companies. Where the issue is, I think, is having too many ETFs, there can be a lot of overlap in the ETF. So you might be owning the same stock or the same handful of stocks in, 2 or 3 different ETFs in your portfolio. And I know a lot of people don't actually do research into the holdings of the ETFs that they buy, which, by the way, is all out there. If you just Google the ETF that you're purchasing or planning to purchase, it'll show you all of the holdings so you can compare whether or not there's a lot of overlap in your other stocks that you own or other ETFs that you own. I also think that by not buying ETFs and buying regular stocks, it encourages you to possibly invest in things that you really enjoy. Like for me, I love Starbucks and therefore I love investing in it. I get excited when I go buy Starbucks stock just because I love drinking their coffee. I love those chocolate croissants. I can't get enough of those things. I am actually not very happy with them for discontinuing the sugar-free cinnamon dolce. Not that anyone really cares. While we're on the subject, I thought I'd throw that out. But I definitely would not feel that same sense of enjoyment if I was just buying into an ETF like VTI or SPHD, which are ones that I've had in the past. One other benefit, and I know it's kind of starting to sound like I'm making a case for ETFs, but I want to be fair. One other benefit I think they have is if you want to be as hands-off as possible as an investor, if you really just don't have the desire to learn or have the care to spend time investing in dividend stocks, you just want to set it and forget it or do the least amount as possible, then I think ETFs are a good way to go about that as well. So this begs the question, Ryan, in your mind, how many ETFs are okay? What's like the maximum amount of ETFs you want to see? To be honest with you guys, I don't have a set number, but as little as possible. So I'll give you a real life example. So my girlfriend started investing in dividend stocks last year on Robinhood, and in her portfolio, she only has 5 different holdings. She has Coca-Cola, she has Apple, she has Starbucks, she has one other one that I don't remember, and she has VTI, which is the one and only ETF in her portfolio. Now, because she's someone who doesn't really take the time to research into this, but she wants to get some skin in the game, I think that that is a great setup. You know, for individual stocks that are in areas that she, you know, is somewhat interested in. Apple's a cool stock to buy. She likes drinking Coke Zeros. Obviously, she's a big Starbucks fan like myself. And I'm trying to remember what that fourth one is. I'm sure it'll come to me. But then she balances all that out and gets some good diversification with VTI, which is the Vanguard Total Market Index ETF. And so in the event that something maybe doesn't go well with Starbucks or something doesn't go well with Apple or whatever, she's got VTI to keep her diversified and keep her kind of balanced out. But anyway, guys, if you're going to have more than one ETF in your portfolio, the only thing I request, or the only thing that I would recommend to you guys, is do a little bit of research into the holdings of those ETFs. Make sure you're not investing in more or less the same companies, especially if you're, you know, trying to invest in a few high dividend paying ETFs, or that's kind of the shtick behind them. If you look at them, they might have more or less the same stocks in the ETF. So, you know, you don't really want to be buying into two of the same thing. Anyway, guys, that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I hope you guys got some good information and enjoyed hearing me rant a little bit about some things that you maybe shouldn't do as a dividend investor. And also, you guys might have some different opinions on some of the things I said, which is totally fine. I would love to hear your guys' comments below. Let me know what you think about some of the topics we covered today. How do you feel about ETFs? Where are you on dollar cost averaging? What do you guys use to help visualize your portfolio and track the performance of it over time? I'd really be curious to know. And if you guys are still with me here at the end of the video, please don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you haven't done so already. And if you're new to my channel and are interested in seeing more content from me, why don't you mosey on over to that subscribe button and just hit that as well so you can stay up to date on all future videos. All right, guys, with that said, I will now get out of your hair. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.